Thank you very much as always, gentlemen. This is a very important series, Preacher. Snake taking on Bilibili Gaming. This will deem whether Bilibili Gaming can stay in that playoff contention.
They need to, because Snake is currently first place, and Bilibili, if they can beat Snake, then the only other big hurdle for them afterwards would have to be WE.
But for Snake, they are sitting pretty in the West Conference first place, and moving into this pick and ban, this is going to deem whether Snake can have their dominant run over Bilibili Gaming like they did last time.
But here's the one way that Bilibili can necessarily come back, because normally we're expecting Snake to just take this game out by storm. They did in week number 3. However, the one weakness they have would be in SOFM. Now you might be asking, how can you possibly say that this guy's a weakness? He's one of the strongest junglers in the entire LPL. Well, the one way that you can always beat Snake, as determined in the past, is that if you counterpick the jungle, and if you also make sure that you can test him, especially over Raptors, he just has no clue where to go.
You see that Snake, sitting so pretty, so well, and right now moving into 8.5, a very different patch from when they first faced. You see Sion taking off the board, Zoe and Swain, Tom, Kench, Rise, and Jarvan from Bilibili Gaming, and still the first pick priority, just like in the last series when they versed each other, is going to be that as it.
I mean, it's just way too important, right? First of all, you're putting it onto Gorgor, and you're also taking off Mole this time. So Bilibili have substituted out Athena just for the first match. They think that this is one of the times in which they definitely need to shake up their roster, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Mole interacts with the team.
And when you see Chieftain as well, because SOFM going up against SKS, that was our matchup, and this is a very different interaction, Preacher, because Chieftain being the sub, this is a very different jungler for Bilibili Gaming.
But still, I'm looking forward to this interaction because SOFM is still the pinpoint that you want to put all of your focus on. The only other place that you can really focus if you want to break down Snake would potentially be the bottom lane, but we'll talk about it later as that comes up.
Well, picking the Skarner into the Sejuani, they decide they're not going to go anything like the Zac, and with Jarvan off the table, Snake want to keep their options as heightened as possible. And right now for Hujier, he has in the past picked up that Tahm Kench. He has picked up some of the tankier supports, with Alistar not really being an exception.
And it's just going to enable the Skarner so much. Skarner needs some room in order to run into people, and with the Alistar headbutt and knock-up combination, it means that Skarner can get into the backline very safely along with Predator as well. I think that Snake have already set themselves up for a very coherent 5v5.
Well, Bilibili Gaming want to set themselves up for the Zyra Khan, and this is another priority lane, when Jin Zhao and Road in the past have suffered against Crystal and Hujier. Because Crystal always playing that Ezreal, always playing a champion that has a quite passive laning phase, and Jin Zhao and Road weren't really able to capitalize on.
But it's funny how now we put the priority onto Jin Zhao and Road because they've got the lovers combo in the bottom lane. It means that the pressure has to go over to Crystal and Hujier. They're not really the best ADC and support combination in the LPL. Generally, when you rank them in the LPL, you have to say, okay, maybe they come 4th or 5th in the ladder compared to other people and the likes. So, if Jin Zhao and Road want to exploit this bottom lane by having an extremely strong level 2 along with Chieftain, it could very well go their way.
And such a versatile one at that, especially when SOFM, he will be prioritizing going down there and getting Crystal and Hujier ahead. They've taken away Jin, because Crystal does not have that AD carry as of yet. The Galio away by Snake, and really putting the priority on Mole, just like they would have before. And for Bilibili Gaming, this is so damn important. I mean, 7-7, they lose a game here, they have some rough contenders coming up. And even when you have to verse Fun plus Phoenix, who are trying to climb their way up, for Bilibili Gaming, this is a must-win series.
Yeah, I mean, Fun plus Phoenix is obviously the other game that's going to be very important for them on their run towards potentially making it into playoffs. But if we're going to be talking about Mole as opposed to Athena in the mid lane for Bilibili Gaming, it's funny how both the Galio and Talia are banned away. 2 Athena champions. You got to ask, what exactly separates Mole from Athena, and why are they bringing him in?
Oh, I love that they're still putting Amazing J on the gangplank up in that top lane, and
he was born to carry, baby.
We will revisit how Mole changes this team alongside Chieftain, because substituting some of the biggest roles, or 2 of the biggest roles in League of Legends, mid and jungle, you have to say, in such an important matchup, what was the cause and what is going to be the effect? The virus picked up for Crystal, and already this composition, this is looking very versatile. The scaling quite incredible, and if Flandre decides to pick up his famous Vladimir, which he does, we we then see a Snake that is looking to snowball and looking to take this lane.
And Snake is very coherent in the team composition. You want the early game coming out from the Varus and also the Alistar, and that builds a very strong road to lead into the mid game of Azir. From that point onwards, you also got the Vladimir for the late game security, and it just works.
Well, speaking of strong roads, got the last pick for Bilibili Gaming, and you've already got yourself a mid lane, but the Vel'Koz was locked in. Now this is confidence, but to run this against the Azir, they want to win this laning phase.
And just like the coach you can see on stage, we are as freaked out as he is. We're just like, okay, don't worry, this Vel'Koz, he has some very defined power spikes. His laning phase is good, his mid game is good, he falls off very hard into the late game. The one advantage that Vel'Koz has over other traditional poke champions in the mid lane is the fact that regardless of whether he falls behind or gets ahead, he does the same amount of damage because his passive is true damage.
Well, considering you ban away the Talia from Snake, Bilibili Gaming were kind of forced into a corner. But let's roleplay a little bit, Preacher. I'll be Guo, you be Coach, right? Preacher, there's a Vel'Koz. What do I do?
Okay, so rule number 1, you win the 1v1, and rule number 2, you make it to the 5v5, and that's how you actually make it in this lane. I mean, it's going to be ridiculously hard for Azir, because Azir doesn't actually have the early game potential to poke out against the Vel'Koz. All the way until level 6, I dare say all the way until a 2-item power spike for the Azir, he's not going to have much in terms of the poke pressure.
Well, dominating the lanes, winning the phase, and snowballing ahead. For Bilibili Gaming, they've set their eyes on the prize, and going up against Snake in such a crucial series in week 9 to keep themselves in contention for that playoff position. For Snake to move forward and potentially clinch that semi-final bye. It begins with this series, and that's why this is such a damn important one.
And they're looking just to take all guns out in the very first game. I mean, if you substitute 2 in, and if you bring in a Vel'Koz in the mid lane, BLG, they are going hard.
Well, Mole Special looks like in Guo is going to have trouble in that lane, so watch for SOFM and Chieftain. The counter ganks have to be quick, have to be smart. Bilibili Gaming, it has been the focus on that mid lane in the past, and we say that because with Jinjiao and Road, they found themselves in the Taric lane in a very dominant lane, but just couldn't transition that into a lead for Bilibili Gaming.
So when they play aggressive, they look a whole lot better, and I look forward to them doing so because they got the Xayah Rakan level 2 power spike.
Snake Esports, tension moving up, and Bilibili Gaming excited to see this Vel'Koz pick, especially when you kind of compare compositions, and for the gang plank, you know he's going to scale, he's going to get late, but Amazing J in the past, he's had trouble in this lane. Vladimir, ranged, can hit the barrels, slow projectile speed, yes, Preacher. But for the gang plank, he struggles to a lot of ranged matchups.
He does, and usually we don't see SKS pay a whole lot of attention to the top lane, so substituting in Chieftain, if Amazing J is having a little bit of trouble and strife in the top lane, hopefully Chieftain will have a different tune and potentially help him out.
Amazing J, he's got so much damn experience, and you need to prioritize that top lane. You need to prioritize the gangplank, keep him at even. Well, he's going to do that himself, right? A gangplank, even if he loses lane, his gold is usually even. It's when they push ahead, that's when they start making a difference. When you have a gangplank who is 2 items ahead of the rest of the map, and Summoner's Rift never felt so dangerous.
But we just need to take a look to see if they can actually make it there and drive their way home.
Well, for Snake, they're going to be doing all in their power to make this a clean 2-0 once again, just like week number 3. Let's go, the start of Snake taking on Bilibili Gaming. Well, Bilibili Gaming have got what sounded like we got more support.
Well, okay, so
break it down.
To my ears, it sounded like Snake had more quantity, but BLG had more quality. That was loud, that was sharp, that was crisp. There's few fans that BLG do have, because of course it is Snake in their own home stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, BLG, they traveled out here, despite all odds. They're looking to support the team.
Vel'Koz, of course. Mole has taken the Comet, and we haven't really touched on what Bilibili Gaming are trying to do, Preacher, and I think I mentioned it, that, you know, the laning phases seem to be strong all but top lane.
Yeah, I mean, really, Billy, they're looking to dominate their lanes. Of course, you've got the Vel'Koz that spikes before level 6. You've also got the Xayah Rakan that spikes before level 6. So keep your eyes on Chieftain, because he's realistically got 2 places to gank.
I just realized Amazing J is taking Grasp of the Undying on Gangplank here. So is that a thing?
Well, first and foremost, it's not a thing, but
Okay.
you can see why he took it, because there have been many different nerfs over the different patches that have gone down onto Kleptomancy, so it's no longer as strong as it used to be. But second of all, there's a whole lot of sustain available for the Vladimir. So what you want to do as Gangplank is you want to have sustain in time. And if you have your Q, then you just need to farm normally to make sure that you stack up your Grasp, and when he goes in for the transfusion, you Q him and you get a little bit of health back in return.
I guess it kind of makes a balance between Flandre's Vladimir and a Gangplank that can kind of sustain this lane better, and maybe that's the difference. Maybe that was holding him back before.
Yeah, I mean, he's just looking to sustain the lane. He's not looking to get his power spikes ridiculously early, which is what Kleptomancy allows you to do. He's looking to make sure that he doesn't die, because he prioritizes getting more time in the lane. He believes that that will get him more gold than the few amounts of random items that he can possibly pick up like Clip.
Look at this clear from Chieftain though. Will be spotted out by Hoodie, getting a deep ward on that blue side, but Chieftain dragging it all the way over to the side of the Gromp. And of course, Sejuani going to be maintaining SOFM, but SOFM does find himself ahead by about a camp. Going in, getting the Crystal Spire, walking through, getting more vision control. And what we saw with this jungle matchup, which is going to be our priority, is when it was SKS, SOFM was on top of him. He was invading, whether Sejuani, Zac, it doesn't matter about the matchup. He was always more proactive. And I guess Chieftain's going to be tested here in that way.
Yeah, and Chieftain just has to show his mettle, because he needs to start going inside of SOFM's jungle. The one way that you shut down SOFM, and indeed the whole squad of Snakes by doing so, is by contesting him in his jungle, by denying him the Silk Roads, if you will, to get into the lanes and make a successful gank, and also to remove some resources from him. I mean, that deep ward that Chieftain put, well, it's not too deep. Let's just say it's a shallow ward in the jungle of Snake. It should be able to point out when SOFM is moving from mid lane to bottom lane, or vice versa, and that'll give him enough information to contest.
Yeah, but potentially, I mean, it's still deep vision control, and Chieftain going through. He's just gotten the Spire as well. He's going to walk through. This is, I mean, this is 15 gold that I guess kind of makes it worth it, and it's something shallow again to talk about. Mole on the Vel'Koz, he's still maintaining, but he's pushing ahead a little bit. What we've expected of this lane was for the Vel'Koz to really bully out Guoguo. And the Azir, I mean, it's a special pick of his.
Yeah, I mean, the Azir is just so strong in the meta right now. You can't really say that it's fitting towards the team composition, per se. It's just fitting because it is one of the stronger picks. And he's going to be able to scale himself up, which is a trouble for Mole. Because Mole realistically should be looking to get much more pressure than he is. But given the landscape of the jungle, and given the fact that SOFM has managed to dodge around so many of these wards, he needs to respect that and play safe.
It was a very early back from Mole as well, and walking towards the tier, picks it up. So it's going to be a haste Vel'Koz with getting maximum cooldown reduction. I mean, that's all you need, really. I think for Snake, they'll be feeling very confident in this matchup. And when you go up against two substitutes, when you go up against Chieftain and Mole, who, I mean, haven't played the full split, you'd have to be saying that Snake would say, look, this is not the full roster. We can kind of take advantage of this.
It's funny that... Oh, okay, that was a little too close. But it's funny that you say that this isn't the main roster, because this actually used to be. And you remember that SKS was somebody who they brought in from time to time.
Yeah.
I quite like the way that they started integrating him more. But now they bring back Chieftain because they believe that this is a match that is too important to lose. So they want to be able to secure all of their boundaries and make sure that Chieftain can invade. So now SOFM...
Speaking of which, yeah, this invade is a little bit
Super
sneaky. He's going in, he's going to be knocked up. The disintegration ray popped a little bit too early.
And that just looked kind of funny, because SOFM was running at the max speed with the Predator, flashed himself out to safety to make sure that the lifeform disintegration rate didn't hit it. And not too much came from that, so they established a little bit of control, but he's already in the lane.
I mean, it's a 3 vs 3 down in the bottom lane. SOFM has just got level 6, and Chieftain is level 5. Gangplank, the Cannon Barrage is coming down, and this is a big fight for Snake, but they're being called out. Hood, yeah, goes down first, and oh yeah, say Billy Gaming, locked up, locked down, another kill traded off, but it's a 2-for-1. Crystal still has flash available, uses it to get over the wall, but is feeling very confident here. Jin Jiao takes a bit more damage, but Crystal is out. A 2-for-1 for Bilibili Gaming.
And Bilibili Gaming, they finally get the inside track Hysterics. This is what they finally
Oh no, he's been locked up. Crystal, overconfident, gets punished hard.
Wow, that flash coming out from Road to secure the kill onto the flashless, no heal Crystal on the Varus with no way to escape. That was clean communication.
And 2 kills going over to Jin Jiao. This Zaya now has a bloody BF sword at 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and he's also been stacking his Cull Hysterics. It's 71 to go, so it's a little far off, but still, he's getting very close to the Essence Reaver because of those 2 kills, and you have to imagine, especially compared against his bottom lane of Crystal's Varus, who isn't going to be power spiking on the Ginzu's Rage Blade anytime soon, would have a very good time in the trade.
That was a really big mistake. I mean, overconfidence from Snake, and we saw this a little bit in the start of the split when these two went head-to-head. And for SOFM, I mean, it's just really persistent that we see, okay, overconfidence, let's come back to it, and let's reiterate on what we should have done there. But Bilibili Gaming, they take lead, they take charge, and because they got first blood, they're now 800 gold ahead.
And that is the perfect word to describe what SOFM just did. It was pure overconfidence. We have to take a look at it again. He already burned his flash, mind you, in the last time when he had to escape both Maul and Chieftain. But now in the fight, he wants to go back in, even after Hootie has died. Watch him, because there is no way that he can get out from the situation. He knows that he has 4 stacks on himself, and he just dies to Jin Jiao. So that was, all in all, very good played, very well played from BLG, but also very greedy from him. And here's the flash to secure the final kill onto Crystal. Sooner or later, Road's going to come back down, and it's just mechanically out.
That was so well played by Jin Jiao. Exactly right, Preacher.
And it was also so quick that he only took 1 turret hit. Realistically, you take 2, but he flashed out. He even has Unsealed Spellbook, so it's going to come up even sooner than expected. And he didn't even die.
I mean, Crystal was the level down in that fight as well, and that is the difference between having, you know, that piercing arrow or whatever you're leveling up first. Got to say, it's the E, the hail of arrows. And that extra damage could have made a difference, but for Bilibili, it's 1,000 gold ahead, and they're really going deep into this jungle, kind of doing what SOFM is known for against SKS or even Chieftain.
Yeah, and I really love this because this is the exact way that you shut him down. You put pressure into his own jungle. He is so good when he moves into lanes and he coordinates multi-man ganks onto the bottom side of the map or multi-man roams wherever. But if you challenge him in his own jungle, we've yet to see Snake really fall back into their jungle and help SOFM. It's always SOFM helping them. So the fact that Snake have never practiced this before is really putting them on the defensive because they don't exactly know how to react.
And because there's that Infernal Drake, all this deep vision for Bilibili Gaming is only going to help them. You can see down in that bottom side jungle, a couple of control wards mixed in from Snake,
no.
But yeah, that went over to Chieftain. That's not good. Preacher, for Mole right now, does have a full mana bar, but Guoguo is that level ahead from Snake and Lane.
Yeah, that's a huge punishment, Hysterics, because the one way that Vel'Koz scales is not actually off of AP per se, it's off of cooldown reduction. You want to spam out your abilities as much as you can. No blue buff into a blue buff Azir. That is going to be one of the most punishing factors in this mid lane. You can already see that Mole is just standing so
Remember we talked about Flandre here in the Sangharan pull used at the last minute. Amazing J almost getting taken down, and for Gangplank, the most difficult matchup is this Vladimir. The scaling battle, it begins now because Vladimir is 30 CS ahead and Flandre once again winning out against Amazing J.
But this is what I actually like about the Grasp of the Undying Hysterics, because this is generally the point in which Vladimir goes back, gets his first item power spike, and then starts split pushing with absolutely no contention from the enemy team. With the Grasp of the Undying, it means that Amazing J can actually stay in this lane for much longer than expected, and so long as he can get 2 barrels down, he can pretty much clear the whole way.
You saw 30 CS behind, but only 600 gold behind, which is quite curious. Chieftain, he's going to walk in blind, and SOFM has the Impale. Over the wall goes Chieftain. Guoguo coming in to challenge, but Drake going to give him a bit of a poke out. And at this stage, you can see that it's still Snake holding on, but Bilibili Gaming getting a lot more objectives on the board, a lot more deep vision, and still hold themselves by 1,700 gold. that is stemming from that bottom lane, a real issue starting to begin for Snake.
Yeah, and I want to expand on the point that you just touched about, which is in the top lane with Amazing J only being 600 gold down. Some of that gold, despite the fact that he is severely down in CS, is because Gangplank naturally gets more when he kills minions with his barrels, and also because first brick went over to Billy in the bottom lane. So when you divide all of that together, it kind of looks like this Gangplank isn't really that far down at all. His items are fairly good and conquerable into the Vladimir. I mean, neither of them have finished their first item power spike, so as long as this lane stays neutral and nobody backs to buy, Amazing J should be very comfortable.
Well, he's able to push out, and Flandre right now doesn't have the proto belt, and that's going to be the difference between maybe finding Amazing J and maybe letting him go. Amazing J one item off, that is going to be the attack speed, the 1100 gold, moving into the Trinity Force, and looks like right here, Snake are just going to trade off the Infernal Drake for the Rift Herald.
Any other Drake, and I would have completely agreed with that choice, but the Rift Herald for an Infernal Drake is possibly one that is a little too punishing, and SOFM, he's not really even making up his mind on this one. I mean, he thinks that he wants to get it, but now he's going to get collapsed on because BLG knows.
Well, it's way too late. SOFM will have the movement speed, but it's given over. Billy Gaming the peace of mind to go and contest it, but it's been stolen away. SOFM instead going for the engage, the impale. That Rift Herald is his, and he doesn't look like he wants to pick it up just yet. Road goes down, SOFM back into the fight, but a double kill. Going over to Guo, and I tell you what, peace of mind indeed.
Finally, they managed to secure the gold back onto their side. It's not quite even, but they've managed to pick up 2 kills for themselves, as well as SOFM smiting away that Herald to secure it after all his hard work that he put in before BLG started to contest it. And now, with the turret coming soon afterwards, you have to imagine that the gold's going to be looking dead even.
I mean, what a turn of events for SOFM to get that smite steal. They found the engage. Guo just got 2 kills, was able to go back and get the Nash's Tooth, and now for Mole, this lane matchup is not going to be as easy as he once thought. SOFM has that Rift Herald, they pick up the turret to respond, and Snake are right back in this game off a 2k gold deficit.
Yep, and I said that when you get the Nash's Tooth, you start coming back and you can start fighting the Vel'Koz, but Vel'Koz wins before, then guess what? He's not winning now, but let's take a look at this. Can you even really call it a steal when SOFM does the majority of the damage? But nonetheless, he pulls back Road, which makes sure that there's no more CC coming out from BLG. And I'm not too sure what Jinjiao was doing in that situation because he just gets collapsed on by Flandre.
But those mistakes that cannot be afforded to be made by Billy Gaming. They had such a good edge at the start of this series, and it was always Snake in contention to be, we're going to be the best team, we're going to be taking this out 2-0. And for Billy Gaming, always looking at the underdogs. That was them. And now, 14 minutes in, it's right back into equal standings. Infernal Drake, the only thing that maybe outpaces Snake.
And I really love this pressure. Even though they lost that last fight and lost the Rift Herald as well, they're still applying all of this force onto both the jungle and top side of the map. It means that Snake have to start playing defensively and have to react to what BLG are doing as opposed to be proactive for themselves, and that is their weak spot. Snake looks so strong when they are pushing the agenda, when they are delivering their own win conditions to themselves, but when they have to react to Billy pushing on the top side, going into the jungle and contesting SOFM, just making him feel uncomfortable while he's farming, that's when they fall down.
Well, speaking of, falling down, I think what needs to be pointed out here is Amazing J's actually gone for the Spectre's Cal before he could finish the Trinity Force. And instead of going for the Mercury Treads, instead of going for maybe an optimal amount of magic resist, going away from that itemization, not getting your first item when Flandre has the Proto Belt at about half a level ahead, it's going to be a big issue for Amazing J. And Flandre continues to dominate 2-3 item Vladimir. That's when he starts moving into these fights, and that's when the late game gets so much closer for a Vladimir that just loves the scale.
Normally, you would say that that's very curious, and why didn't Amazing J just finish off his Trinity Force so he can do tons of damage? Well, the answer is because of the way that he wants to function in this team. He doesn't want to be the traditional Gangplank who just scales until late. He wants to be the person who can split push against Flandre, because a Vladimir uncontested is a Vladimir who just takes 1, maybe even 2 turrets in a side lane in the mid portion of the game before 25 minutes rolls by. But because Amazing J has gone with the Spectre Scout, because he's gone with Grasp of the Undying, he's got to have so much sustained into this Vladimir that if he can clear out these waves, he's denied a core win condition of Snake, which is allowing Vladimir to get free turrets in the sideline.
Maybe it works out for him. Amazing J, still 30 CS behind, but I guarantee the gold, not that much. SOFM is just going to drop the Rift Herald.
Out of time necessity.
I believe so. So it's going to walk all the way up the lane. Crystal and Hoodye are matching Road and Jinjiao, so they'll help push this wave, or maybe just leave the Rift Herald.
They're just going to leave it. I mean,
Okay.
bets on that this Rift Herald does 0 damage to its target.
Well, it's going to run into a couple of champions on the way. A little bit unfortunate, but that is the case. And moving up into the top lane, Guo is here. SOFM as well, and it looks like that Rift Herald was a bit of a distraction, one that they want to help push.
Yep, they want to go for this, but Chieftain is standing in a very good position. He's making sure that if SOFM wants to get to him, he can't because he needs to navigate around a wall. However, Chieftain, if he wants to get onto SOFM, it's just one Arctic assault away from hitting him. So that is one of the best things that you can do in this matchup as a Sejuani against a Skarner. Just make sure that you put artificial terrain between him and you so that he needs to run around, but you can dash straight over.
If there is a fight that's brewing, teleport available for both top laners, and for Amazing J, that global ultimate makes the difference between having an impact and able to stay in lane, and maybe distracting Flandre enough to get something off that's a bit more worth. Trinity Force is picked up for Amazing J. Flandre hasn't got his second item just yet, but you can see the aggression is still there. Like I said, half a level up.
Look, realistically, Flandre should be able to get this turret if no jungle interference is involved. But if Amazing J can hold this out for as long as he can, look, if he can hold it out to about 20 minutes, I would call this gameplay build a massive success. And it would mean that his team had enough room to potentially make other plays. Because if he can hold out until 20 minutes, obviously that's when the Baron comes up. That is when Amazing J can start making multi-man plays with his ultimate on the Baron pit. So he's doing very well for himself. I mean, the turret's barely been chipped down from when we last saw it 3 minutes ago, and Flandre's having a tougher time than he would have usually expected, because you imagine that the win condition for Snake would have been for Flandre to get them the gold lead.
Still hiding though, Preacher, and they want to look for a fight. 4 members in around this dragon. It is a Cloud. They do not want to get caught out for a little bit of nothing. In combat movement speed now affected with Cloud Drake as 8.4 and 18 minutes into this game. Baron will be spawning soon, and early Baron's been coming up through for Snake, especially, I mean, LPL, when you look at it, Baron 20-25 minutes is how it rolls. But I think in the moment, Guo will be happy, and the rest of Snake comfortable that they're letting this game roll out in a way that works best for them.
But how comfortable can you realistically be? Because there is always a game plank on the other side, and Hysterics, you and I, we've seen multiple times that if you leave a game plank unchecked, then that little puppy that wasn't even an issue before starts becoming this ferocious wolf that just starts gnawing at all of your members. So you need to make sure that Amazing J isn't getting to any of his power spikes, and is that happening? At the moment, it's a solid no.
Well, for some reason, Amazing J, he's actually just gone topside, doesn't want to match against Flandre anymore, and Flandre happy to stay down here and push out the wave, and Mole now down there in the side lane.
That's very suboptimal. I mean, I think that Amazing J tried to read Flandre's mind and thought that Flandre might move to the top side. Wasn't going to happen, didn't happen, and he doesn't meet his opponent in the top side. That's got to be a whole lot of gold wasted, because obviously if you don't have anybody hitting you, then this Mecha's Cowl doesn't do too much.
To be fair though, I mean, he pushed out the wave in the top side, and he then pushed it into the turret, and I think Mole can probably match Flandre better than maybe Amazing J can at this point anyway.
Well, no, he starts rotating back to the bottom side because he wants to bait Crystal. So this actually puts a whole lot of impetus for Snake to start doing the Baron, because for 20 minutes into the game, they've always been playing reactionary to BLG, and now is there one chance that they can finally make a proactive play? You got to imagine that the eyes have to be on it because they want to be in the driver's seat. But if they pull it, there's a gangplank ulti and there's a teleport available from the bottom side. Keep your eyes on it because Flandre has moved away.
Yeah, because Snake are being very, very coy here. They do not want to make this mistake, and SOFM is waiting for Road to step in. It's going to be seen with the sweeping lens, and Guoguo's here as well, ready to jump over the wall. Rotation's coming up, and even Flandre started walking up towards this Baron side. The turret finally breaking in the top side, and a bit more movement and a bit more room to breathe for Snake. is now applied.
But this is just way too slow. I mean, they're not reaching the times in which they need these spikes, and that's a real worrying trend for Snake, because if they continue down this path where they're not reaching their power spikes fast enough, then that could actually prove deadly. Like we were talking about, of course it's a gangplank that's always going to scale, and that's going to be a huge problem because there's no way that you can shut him down. Take a look at AJ's build. He's nearly at his Vector's count. Along with that Trinity Force, I'm not too certain that Flandre can even split push against him.
Maybe it's more of the same. Flandre, can he split push against Amazing J, or can Amazing J not stand him? BLG now pushing straight into this mid lane, and you can see for Bilibili Gaming, I just think it's so much pressure on their backs here. They know that if they lose this series, playoff contention could just slip away. Another team could sneak in the spot. I mean, a team like Fun Plus Phoenix will be looking and saying, hey, when we verse Bilibili Gaming, how are we going to go? And this is a good reaction to Double Pink Ward goes down, but a good game to watch to say this is where their weaknesses lie.
Yeah, and realistically, looking at the last few couple of weeks remaining for the LPL, Fun Plus Phoenix looks like the hardest opponent for BLG with the exception of this game. So, they want to make sure that they can secure as many wins as they possibly can. But yeah, it's a very tough road, and it's realistically up to Bilibili to make it. So far in the game, they're reaching all of the points that we need them to for the given period. So, they're doing well for themselves, and Snake are definitely down.
We said that for Bilibili Gaming, they'd have to play around the jungle of SOFM, and looks like so far SOFM hasn't had too much of an impact, but you know, one sneaky play, that's all it took for Snake to find themselves back into this game, and now still playing around SOFM. Speedy Skarner still trying to find a pick.
Let me take you back to 2015 EULCS. Do you remember a team called Origin?
Yes, I do.
That was the good lineup with Mithy, with Sven, and with Xpeke, and pretty much the story of them back then was they didn't know how to compete internationally because domestically in the EULCS, they just won. And they just won before 20 minutes to the point where you don't really even need to practice anything else because you just win so hard. And when they went internationally against Chinese and Korean teams, they didn't win in the early game and they started falling apart. The reason why I told you this story is because that's what Snake looks like right now. They've been so damn strong in the early game. Highlights of SOFM being able to get their team so far ahead, but sitting 3-3 at 24 minutes into the game, you cannot say that they're ahead by any means. And the fact that they're not ahead, they're really struggling. They don't know what to do on the map.
Well, especially since for Snake, they might need to find more of a snowball effect earlier in the game, but scaling, I dare say, still worked out for them, so maybe it's not as clean and convincing as we'd like to expect, but I think for Snake, they'll still be happy with the way things are going. Baron is coming up. Well, Baron is sitting there waiting, I beg your pardon, but a minute 15 till that next dragon, and you can see for now, I mean, the deep vision has kind of ceased to exist, and Crystal and Guogo are still trying to find that pick. All ultimates up and available. And it is really a vision battle. So you can get picked up first.
And also, the trigger wasn't pulled by Snake. Because Amazing J used his ultimate on the bottom side to 1v1 Flandre. That could have been a perfect opportunity for Snake to just do the Baron because there's no cannon barrage. But they've waited for so long that it's practically up for AJ. And it's just, once again, the same condition that we saw before, where this Gangplank is pushing in the bottom lane. And check the lane out. Not only is he holding Flandre, but right now he's got so much room that he can actually go into the jungle, deny away SOFM's chickens of all things, and then go back down to the bottom lane.
Now, Preacher, what happens when SOFM doesn't get his chickens?
I mean, he just doesn't know how to play the game. Realistically, right? Whenever you watch this guy, he wants it. It must be a mental thing or something because it gives you so much CS as an actual count that's so much higher than any other camp. He just doesn't know what to do. Like, he sort of has a mental breakdown.
Well, it's a bit of a worry because his chickens are now gone. And
what? He doesn't have a mental breakdown until he finds out. Admittedly.
So hopefully it doesn't go back to camp. I think it was cleared out eventually, but that was an escape from Road as he gets the heck out of there. Snake now pushing forward, and it's been a much slower game after the 10-minute mark, but now finally Road finds the engage. Cannon Barrage is back up, and Bilibili Gaming know exactly when to fight. Crystal, the first one to go down. SOFM with the true damage finds his maker. 2 already down. Hoodye is going to be caught out, and this is going to be the third. Bilibili Gaming pull the trigger and pull it fast.
And they engage, which means that there's no possible way Snake could have gone onto the backline. Jin Jiao was free hitting. Maul was standing still and using his Lifeform Disintegration Ray. Nobody on the side of Snake could have contested that. And more to the point, Flandre was just way too slow to the fight that he didn't even participate. This is a bait.
But Flandre might be caught out. Goes in. There's 4 members here on top of him. Billy Gaming are still acting very, very confident. Guaguo in the backside. And if there's anyone that can pull a 2 versus 5, it's definitely a Vladimir and Azir.
Well, you'd hope so. They managed to push him off the Baron at any rate. Road can see this. So, everybody on Billy should know that Flandre is trying to contest. They still win the fight though, so if nothing else, even if they don't get the Baron, they got the massive amount of gold in their back pocket.
Let's even things up once again. But let's have a look again, because this is a good initiation from Road.
Yeah, and they just catch out Crystal, which means that no ADC damage is coming out. And because there's no ADC, and Hudia has to go in to protect everybody, he didn't even lock up the backline. Nobody defending the backline means no damage is available.
Now, for some reason, Snake have just started Baron, and it's gone away instantly after the replay. Picking up Baron now. Billy Gaming have to get something off the backside of this, but Jin Jiao and Amazing J, they're at the forefront here. Guaguo's out. SOFM running for his life. Road in the backside gets the charm. The quickness is good, but the disintegration rate in a straight line. Crystal goes down. A big pick for Billy Gaming, but still, the Baron is snuck by Snake.
This guy is looking for an MVP award at the end of this game, Hysterics. Road is looking to make his name as he engages onto the side of Snake after they take down the Baron buff. I'm surprised that Snake managed to sneak it, but Billy Gaming was going back, so it's kind of realistic that that was the best window that they could have done. Crystal gets caught once again, and now we have to see what Snake make of this, because they've got it for about 3 more minutes. They can start pushing up mid lane to make sure that they bust down some turrets. You gotta say that while Guaguo is relatively ahead, Crystal is not, and he's definitely having a very rough time.
And I was going to actually mention about Mole, because Mole is doing so much true damage. The beauty of Vel'Koz, who almost has 3 items, is that Disintegration Ray is going to proc that passive so many damn times, and in a small cramped space like the jungle, Mole really performs. And a Vel'Koz that's 1-0-2 that's held out, hasn't really bullied out Guaguo enough. But Vel'Koz, all the same, is going to be doing so much damage and scales beautifully in this game. 3 and 7 now, 28 minutes in, and Billy Gaming negates that 1500 native gold that comes from Baron.
And realistically, this is the point where Mole's going to be doing the most amount of damage, because you take a look at the build path of the 2 carries of Snake. You've got Guaguo, who's gone with the Banshee's Veil. Sorry, mate, no MR available against true damage. And you've also got Crystal, who's gone Wit's End, one of the stronger items for ADCs right now. Sorry, no magic resistance for that either. It's just true damage for days coming out from Mole. And as far as the pick comes for the counter for the builds, he's countered both of the carries of Snake. So you can see where the damage is coming out for Billy in these fights.
But although Crystal is 0-3 and 2, I mean, he's still outputting the damage. He's just getting picked off each and every fight. Road has the quickness back and available. Level 12 support versus level 11 on Hood, yeah. Only just has that level 2 ultimate. Now remember, when we get to this 3-4 item point, this is when Snake, they definitely start to come into more successful fights. But right now, Billy Gaming, they're getting the picks. They're getting the fight, really. It's all on the back of Road.
And funnily enough, Billy are holding this out massively. The Baron buff only has a minute left, and they haven't even taken any structures with it, Hysterics. This is crazy, given the fact that Snake could have very easily engaged on any of these waves, but they chose not to. They're in the gold lead, not too certain if they know that or not, because they're severely down in kills. Now, Amazing J.
He's actually popped the ultimate onto Amazing J. Flandre getting everything he can. Now the quickness is back in, and Flandre too deep, too fast, and Billy, not only will they deny the Baron, they'll also get a kill off the back of it.
Ooh, and that was just miscommunication coming out from Flandre. Everybody thought that they were, Flandre thought that they were going in, but everybody else was going out. At the end, it was just a Vladimir in the middle of the enemy team, gets locked up and dies.
This is a worry for Snake. These mistakes, this is not really like the Snake that we've seen the past couple of weeks. The Snake that's leading the Western Conference, and that we said this is a team that we probably didn't expect to finish so high amongst WE and such other great teams. They have the individual lane gold. You see Flandre, Guaguo, all ahead of their counterparts But in the bottom lane, this has been a huge success for Bilibili Gaming. The Zaya Rakan has won this lane. They've dominated ahead and is so far ahead. Look at that. A full item almost in front of Crystal.
And there's just no counter for it because nobody's drafted. Realistically, the only person who can shut down Jin Zhao is Hudya on Snake. But even then, Zaya is one of the tankiest ADCs in the game simply because she has her ultimate. If you decide to go in on her, she can always use that ulti, kite herself backwards just with the movement that you get, and Hudya can't knock anybody up. So he has to look towards Mole, which means that Jin Zhao has free reign to just hit everybody without any sort of contest on Snake, and that's realistically so hard for Snake to come back from because they haven't got the same amount of damage in Crystal to respond.
No, he's still very, very far behind. Has to opt in for the QSS, so that's going to be delayed in terms of getting that next item power spike. 31 minutes in, and Bilibili Gaming are dominating the map deeper and deeper on the vision control. And for Snake, they're split up a little bit. They're just trying to push out these waves and extend this game as much as they can. But Bilibili, they're still trying to force this fight.
And it doesn't even matter how long Snake extend this game out for, because there's always going to be the safety net of the Gangplank on Amazing J. And there's always going to be the safety net of Zaya Rakan that can do more than usual. There's the right to glory.
The flash forward, the impales there. Road gets the knock up. The quickness is perfect. The disintegration rate, Hudya cannot defend against.
Oh,
the cannon rush. Big miss there from Crystal. Bilibili can now accentuate forward. They're not scared of Snake. Doesn't matter where they are on the standing.
No, that was so punishing. Crystal missed his chains of corruption, so there was no response available. Road was so low. If he got caught by the chains of corruption, that would have been a kill that could have potentially snowballed them because of Varus's passive. That's all coulda, shoulda, woulda, because it didn't happen, and BLG are very firmly in the lead. Before, they were on neutral gold Hysterics.
Yeah.
But with a 1k gold lead and also an Infernal Drake, which matters more than ever right now, they are firmly in the lead.
Such a back and forward first game, and like you said earlier in the game, Road is doing so damn much for Bilibili Gaming. I love seeing him on this Rakan. I mean, we've seen a lot of Taric out of Road, but now especially the Rakan when it matters most. Snake, they're getting shut down. 45 seconds till this next Baron, 45 till the next Infernal. And you see that Bilibili Gaming, they can find these engages, they can then walk back and reset with the help of Ocean Drake. And when you have a Sejuani that's probably going to get Warmogs next, Bilibili Gaming, they're just looking so comfortable and so smart in these plays. 30 seconds on those Baron and Dragon death timers.
And I don't believe that we've ever seen a game in which we said, oh, the highlight player of Bilibili Gaming has been Road, but he's trying to break that trend, he's trying to buck the narrative and make a name for himself, because he has just performed amazingly in this game. All of the engages have been flawless, and in part it's also due to their coach. Because of the draft phase, they allowed him to go into the backline of Snake and lock up the carries that don't have any dashes, with the exception of Gogo, who wants to use his offensively, and that just allows him to have free reign.
So FM may be caught out here, but actually brings the other jungler back, and maybe it's cheap to
Two-man
impale there. That's a big knock-up. Remember, in small spaces, this is where Vel'Koz really propelled forward. Hudya in a wrong position, but Flandre's coming in hot, and this is going to give him a bit of healing. Has to use the Zhonya's. Back comes his health, but not in time. Knocked up and dead with the help of Amazing J. Not good again. Popped down is the jungler. Sorry, I beg your pardon, the Alistar. But 2 more kills going over Bilibili Gaming.
And that was 2 separate fights, because it was in 2 different parts of the map, despite the fact that they were on the same screen, both of which were played mechanically perfectly by Bilibili Gaming. The first one was the double knockup onto the backline of Guogo and Crystal by Road to deny it away, and the second one was the ultimate use at pixel perfect time by Jin Zhao to stop the knockup from the Alistar. Both of those 2 things led to Bilibili Gaming winning the fight, and now they're on the Baron.
Well, they're committing to it, all 5 members, and SOFM wants to get into that pit at 4,000 now, 3,000, counting it down. Bilibili Gaming, no contest, they get the Baron.
And this is just a result of the fact that they won that fight so handily. You got to give credit to each individual member for using their mechanics at the correct time. It cannot be overstated that this team has so much raw mechanical prowess that when you draft them a team composition that's so easy to execute, like this one, completely hard countering and shutting down all of the damage from Snake, that they just get so much good work.
Yeah, well, Infernal Drake, a second one that goes over to Bilibili Gaming, and things are looking dire for Snake. 3.5k gold lead, and we're gonna watch this one again because they're caught out in the jungle.
The dash in and the knock up by Road, and now you gotta watch the ulti coming out from Jinjiao to make sure that he survives. Flandre stuck in the middle because he greeds for a little bit of extra damage and nobody's there to save him. So while that was a very quick replay, it was realistically what we needed to take a look at in order to highlight the amazing individual plays that came out from BLG.
Road in particular having one of the best games that we've seen from him. Jin Jiao is heightened by this support, and now for Amazing J, he's gotten to that point where he's 4 items strong. He's got the late game gangplank. Flandre's big as well, but there's so many elements of Bilibili Gaming that are propelled forward.
And Road also knows that he is going to be the natural target of SOFM because he is the playmaker. Without him, none of these fights can really go their way because there's nobody who can stop the backline. So what he's done is he's taken Cleanse and he's also bought himself a QSS just to make sure that SOFM cannot get onto it. He needs to make sure that he pulls off his one job in these team fights.
Well, jumping in again, Road a bit short this time as the Ray will hit Hudye. The ultimate doing its thing, but he's going to be stunned up here, and now the engage is back in. Hudye is down, and again the pick from Bilibili Gaming works out. Flandre is still in the side. He doesn't go in, and it's still one for BLG.
And I cannot believe that Road actually makes it out to safety. He uses his QSS, gets out of the stun, and he makes his way back to his team, double dashing and also flashing, teleports back in with the unsealed spellbook. This looks like a BLG that's looking to finish again.
Well, 6k gold lead, and Hudye is down for another 17 seconds, so it'll just be the inhibitor this time around. But like you said, a team that's looking so damn strong. Baron Buff has a minute left remaining, and Snake are on the back foot for the first time in this series.
And this is what we were talking about. If Snake gets so far behind that they've never really practiced this, how do they come back? It's a question that even Snake don't know how to answer because they've never been in this situation before. And given the fact that they are in this situation against Bilibili Gaming of all teams who have outdrafted I should say, the Snake composition, this is looking so dire for them. If I were the side of Snake, I would just say, okay, maybe we should focus on next game to make sure that our win conditions are met, to make sure that SOFM is not counter-picked and not counter-jungle, and to just make sure that he gets a lot of safe avenues to gank these lanes that he didn't do in the first game.
You know, when I say, the first time they're behind in this series, I'm talking about the previous series where in week 3, Bilibili Gaming were always on the back foot, and this is a difference between Chieftain and SKS. The playstyle just works better against SOFM, who wants to be invasive. But Chieftain is very good at reacting. He's a very good reactionary jungler.
And as far as the early game went, he did everything in his power to shut down SOFM, contesting him on his camps, didn't steal any of them, but just made sure that SOFM felt very uncomfortable in his own jungle, and also denied away visions so that SOFM couldn't make his way into the lane. That's what you need to do, and Snake, they just got choked out from within.
No Baron buff, but the defense is still hard to make from Snake, and that turret goes down. It's lasered by Mole. 404, Vel'Koz not found with a 4-item spike. The Void Stuff, the Rabadons. This tentacle monster is scary than ever. I'll tell you what, if you get caught in the jungle again, Mole will rip you apart.
And I cannot believe that he bought himself a commencing stopwatch, that he's even going to have the Zhonya's effect before he even power spikes onto the Zhonya's. I don't know if there's any real way that Vel'Koz could be stopped. He's an immobile champion who literally does not move when he ultimates. But even then, there's no possible team member on Snake who can get to him while he's doing so.
In the gap close, you haven't seen it from Guoguo. He's just been caught up each and every fight, and that front line heavy from BLG. Chieftain and Road, they're the ones you have to focus on, but the shielding is there, and Chieftain, Disruptor in himself. They found Flandre. He's gone way too far out. Damage will be there. Chieftain over the side as well, and he goes down. Big mistake from Flandre.
And nobody was around to help on the side of Snake. Now it's up to Bilibili Gaming to see what they can get out of it. They're already hard pushing and hard clearing this wave. AJ is one-shotting everything. More than 1,000 crit just from his Q, I should mention. And they're looking to get a turret out of this, as well as the super minions natively adding innate pressure in the middle.
I mean, they're pushing down on the top side. 6,000 gold lead. Bilibili Gaming, the underdogs, are looking great in game 1, and they want to take it home. Top turret goes down. Following up is going to be this inhibitor. No doubt as Amazing J looks to zone off into the backside. The fight's good. Guaguo taken out first. Hoodja is going to be next. 4-man knockup, but what can be made of it? Crystal is not doing enough damage. He's been caught out. A second, a third gets down, and Billy Gaming, they may have done enough to take down Snake.
I cannot believe how big Road is in this game. Every single fight, he manages to find the backline. And I'm not just talking about one, I'm talking about two. He knocked up Guaguo, he charmed Crystal, both of them fall, and BLG are looking to finish, teleport back.
I mean, Flandre's big, but is he big enough? And SOFM, he's left on duty, but he's going to be caught out by Road. Flashes away. Flandre, it's up to him. One Nexus turret looks to hit down. Amazing J's caught out, and this could be a kill, but Amazing J, he's flashed out. Flandre too. The next Nexus turret. The cannon barrage comes down, and that's going to be all she wrote. Billy Gaming create the upset in game 1.
And this is what they need in order to secure a safe passage to playoffs. Billy, they totally dominate Snake in game number 1, out-drafting them, making sure that they shut down SOFM, outplaying them in every single team fight, and honestly, just hats off to Road. I am speechless at just how amazing and creative he was in finding his way to the backline and stopping all damage.
Performance from Billy Gaming cannot be denied in game 1, and this has spiced up the series, and Snake on the back foot, it's not something you'd normally say with Billy Gaming. A clean 2-0 week 3, but this is 8.5 and this is a different time. Week 9, Billy Gaming step up big, so we're going to throw it back to you guys at the desk to decode that upset.